CBS News with Jan and Walter.
Tonight, we'll be doing a special segment on the important topic we have recently kept a close watch on, titled School Desegregation. How did it help start the Civil Rights Movement, and why did it start when it did?
The matter of school desegregation has been a hot topic since 1954, when the Brown v. Board of Education case kicked in, starting the Civil Rights Movement.
The Brown v. Board of Education ruled that discrimination based on color in public schools within the United States was a violation of the 14th Amendment.
It also overturned the Plessy v. Ferguson decision when the Supreme Court ruled separate but equal did not violate the 14th Amendment.
By 1955, the Supreme Court had passed Brown 2, a second segment, the original Brown v. Board of Education ruling, in order to have the first ruling to be fulfilled with all deliberate speed.
These words, all deliberate speed, soon led to a lot of confusion and different interpretations to fix the specific group's needs.
But why did all these changes happen when they did?
Up next, we will be investigating just that. Now for a special interview with Dr. Frederick William Allhouse of Memphis State College, an expert on the Brown v. Board of Education decision. So Fred, exactly how did school desegregation play into the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement, and how did Brown rule lead up into the crisis in Little Rock, Arkansas?
Well, as you just mentioned, the Brown's ruling did kickstart the Civil Rights Movement, but was not the only factor for why it specifically started. Due to the United States' new economic situation, African Americans were now in a place where they have the means to be economically equal to their white counterparts. Through the new technology of television, they were able to see the way others just like them were mistreated. Dr. Martin Luther King also offered them a peaceful leader, a man of the church, to lead them to their ambitions to be equal. While the NAACP also offered protection and support for those willing to take the risk to be a part of desegregation. And when the Supreme Court ruled on May 17, 1954 that segregation in schools was unequal, the decision consisted of claiming that students should not be segregated based on their race or even skin color. Marshall argued that the Board of Education acted as a catalyst for further civil rights decisions. It was a stick that broke the camel's back.
So, how did this meander off into the Little Rock crisis?
After the board had overruled Plessy v. Ferguson, the follow-up ruling of Brown's second, the results had been scattered. Plessy v. Ferguson provided a huge flaw in the court system which helped set up the Browns' correction, which is one of the reasons why the Browns' ruling was so influential in starting the civil rights movement. Afterwards, on September 13th, students had walked into Little Rock Central High School and harassed by their Caucasian peers. This caused massive controversy when National Guardsmen were ordered to keep the black students out to prevent further chaos.
So what you're saying is the whole ruling has been contradicted?
Yes, Jan. It seems that way after Governor Orwell's interference.
Thank you so much for that interesting insight. We'll be right back after this short break.
CBS is supported by Tandy's many colors.
Now we would like to welcome Tyreka Jones. Miss Jones was a friend of Elizabeth Eckford, the 9th student, the only one that went to Central High on September 13th, 1957. Today she is here to talk to us about 7 years later about her friend's experience and how she personally has seen the results of desegregation.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us today, Tyreka. So, in your opinion, does desegregation seem to be working effectively? Well, not as much as we would all like it to. As you can see, the current school I'm attending is still very segregated. Some students from my school have tried attending originally white schools, and they're faced with a lot of discrimination. I hope that in the future things will change and all schools will be integrated like we have seen in the North, and we will be able to outgrow the stereotypical Negro rule that has been impaled by society, because right now things sure are separate, but they ain't equal.
And how have you reacted to this?
It has been very hard to deal with, especially since those students are my friends. The protesters have been murderous and frightening. My friends tell me about the crude things that they shout at them every morning. I know that they try and stay strong, and I'm trying to stay strong for them, but it really is terrifying, and I'm scared for them.
Mm-hmm.
Each night I pray to God that they will live and not get harmed, but I never know what will happen next, you know?
Yeah.
The we have a lot of trust in God, and we've been inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King's methods of peaceful protest, which have been working out nicely and slowly. It really helps to keep us together, united as a society, and he really inspires us to exercise teamwork and work as one, which was pushing the civil rights movement forward. Although it is a challenge because most of the public has not been very supportive of the school desegregation, and that is pretty discouraging if we don't even have the majority of the public on our side. 4, 6, 8, we don't want it integrate.
I do not want my daughter going to school with those people.
So it is nice to see that there are a few nice white people who have been very supportive of integration within the schools, and it just really helps to know that we have some people on our side. So thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us today and explaining your side of the situation.
My pleasure.
Well, that concludes our special segment on school desegregation. How did it help start the civil rights movement, and why did it start when it did? Which has all led to the most recent Civil Rights Act working to finish school desegregation in our nation and become more race neutral in regards to schooling.
Thank you for joining us, and please write the station if you have questions or would like to further discuss this topic.
This has been the CBS News with Jan and Walter. Becky.
Look at her.
Gucci!
Watch your pro.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Are you still recording?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry that my computer.
Segment.
That's okay.
Look, Oklahoma.
It's
Like,
not a picture. My bad. Start again.
Ugh.
You really use that. Luther King Jr.'s. United as a society.
Hello.
The United States' new economic situation.
I'm here.
It's okay.
This is unprofessional.